Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at how the physical Android 17, otherwise affectionately known as MVP 17, performs after his recent Extreme Z awakening. Now this is a last ditch battle Android 17, and he recently got a ZZA on DBZ Dokkan Battle Global, so we're going to take a look at just how good he is. So with the ZZA, he got an Android's category key plus 3 HP attack and defense of 170% skill with a physical type or super physical type of 120%. He raises his defense for one turn, causes immense damage to the enemy, and greatly lowers attack and defense on his super attack. He has attack and defense of 120% plus an additional 120% attack when performing a super attack. He has an additional defense of 17% with each attack received up to 50%, and all allies get key plus 3 and defense of 60%. He reduces damage received by 17% and has an additional damage reduction of 40% and gives all allies an additional defense of 17% when HP is 77% or less. Ideally you want to build this guy into crit if you want to get his maximum efficiency in terms of performance, but I can understand people wanting a bit of additional, because additionals will improve him defensively, especially when his damage reduction is active. For me, I would say grab yourself predominantly crit and then build a slight chunk of additional. If you are looking at running him purely as a floater, then your best bet is to run additional attacks alongside some evasion. Now in terms of Link skills, he is pretty solid. Android Assault, Twin Terrors, Infinite Energy, Solid Support, Shocking Speed, Tool of Power, Fierce Battle. He's on a lot of categories: Androids, Universal Survival Saga, Reps of Universe 7, Final Trump Card, Battle of Wits, Defenders of Justice, Battle of Fate, Superheroes, Worthy Rivals, Siblings Bond. He's on quite a few categories. When you look at how his defense works, his defense is pretty big. So the total boost is 320% when you add everything together, because he gains a very substantial amount from that additional defense that kicks in. It's multiplicative. So if you look at his defense after taking a couple of hits, you're going to see quite a big difference in performance. Now of course, Android 17, I would say, probably got mixed reaction from the community. I think overall he's a very good unit. I just think people were expecting a bit more, especially with how busted some EZAs can be. But I actually think he's in a good spot. I think he's definitely a decent option. If we take a look here, you can see 187,000 defense. Doesn't look like much, but it's decent. This is a starting defense of 180k, which is good. His defense can rise all the way up to 360,000 or so with a bit of support, or even 380, or even closer to 400k if you link level him and place equipment. So yeah, that's a decent chunk of defense. Plus, on top of that, he has a natural baseline damage reduction of 17%. That's enough to keep him safe from most normals that he'll face. You can see here after one stack he has 227,000 defense, which is pretty decent, and he's going to obviously, have some pretty nice attack stats. We're not talking anything huge as attack stats, without inflating them, without really popping off like supports, double turn supports and things like that. You're probably looking at 7s, 8 millions at a rainbow level as like being your peak offensive capabilities. We can see here around 310,000 defense, which is really, really good. Double support on the rotation though. I believe he has one more stack that he can still achieve as well, and that would push him to around the 350k mark. Now, he doesn't have a huge amount of defensive support here, so that's a fairly fair stat for him to get. Yeah, there you go. Another stack of defense and 8 million attack stat, which, as I mentioned before, is kind of like the height or the peaks of his attack stat in a relatively controlled scenario. But we can see kind of where these defensive stats are lying. We can see, he ranges at low levels, 180k, at fully built up above the 300k threshold, which is pretty good. Couple that with a 17% damage reduction, and most times after super, he's, well, I would probably say every time after super, he's not really taking any significant damage. He might take a fair chunk of damage from like a strength based boss, but most times he'll be fine. And when you can get everything active, you know, all of his defense here, when you can get you know, his damage reduction all active, which we do have in this situation, then he can actually tank really well. This is cell max, and you're going to see him tank pretty decent. Single digits on normals. He's going to hit a 7.8 million attack stat. He's giving the entire rotation 77% defense, and he himself is going to, well, almost tank a super attack, which is pretty good. He does also have room to grow when you link level him, which is obviously pretty decent. In terms of link leveling, or links in general, Android Assault is probably the priority link, being a key and defensive link. He does have Twin Terrors, which is also a pretty decent link, which you predominantly get with Android 18 units. Infinite Energy, which is also a decent link that he gets between him and Android 16 and 18 units. Solid Support, which is an okay link. I wouldn't really prioritize this one too much, but it's common amongst support type units. Shocking Speed, which is his predominant key link, and Tornado Power kind of cover him in terms of his teams. You know, between Android Assault, Shocking Speed, Tornado Power, Twin Terrors, you're kind of like, okay, we get it, he can have a decent key. I mean, he also provides himself some from his passive, and then you also have Fierce Battle. So I would say overall, prioritize getting Android Assault if you can. If you're running him on something like Tornado Power or something, obviously you're mainly going to run with Solid Support, TOP, Fierce Battle, Shocking Speed, etc. Whereas if you're running him on Androids or, you know, Siblings Bond, maybe Worthy Rivals, you might prioritize Android Assault as a link if you can. And if you're not prioritizing any of those, you can always prioritize something like Solid Support, Fierce Battle, or Shocking Speed, just kind of like keeping it baseline. Overall, there is value in link leveling him. You know, Android Assault's a great link. 10% extra defense, Twin Terrors, 5% attack, defense, and evasion. Infinite Energy, 5% attack, defense, and crit chance. Solid Support is 5% attacks, that's like okay. Shocking Speed is 5% defense. Torment Power is 7% attack and defense. And Fierce Battle is a little bit more attack as well. So overall, his link set's pretty good. It gives him enough flexibility to be a good unit on Android's team, whilst also being a good unit on things like TOP and USS. I think overall his EZA is very good. I would give it like an 8 out of 10 if I had to really give it like a rating. I think people make him seem a lot more fragile than he is, and I think, you know, any unit that gives you 77% defense on a rotation with 3 key, honestly, can't be that bad to me. I don't know. Just, yeah, it seems very like, it just seems, yeah, he just seems very good from that perspective. I just think, yeah, overall he's very good. A big buff for him would be to EZA this int Android 17 or Team Universe 7 unit, whatever you want to call it. As obviously, you know, that's his best linking partner, and they both could support each other. But that's it from me. I think he's a great unit. If you don't have him, look at getting him, or using him, I should say. And yeah, that's it from me. See you guys next time. Bye.